This week on Hobby Night, we're going to show you how to paint the plasma gun wielding Space Marines of the Salamander Chapter. And while this tutorial will be focusing on the Salamander Chapter, you can apply the same technique to any green armored chapter, such as the Dark Angels or the Disciples of Caliban. So let's jump back in time as I get 5 Hellblasters primed up in white primer.
Remind me again while you're having me film this, I do have some other things I need to take care of.
Cross promotion.
Oh, I understand. Well, with that in mind, let's begin to pray and spray.
For the Salamander's chapter, I'm going to be using Warp Lightning for its vivid hue as well as its even coverage. However, if you're working on Dark Angels, you might want to use Dark Angels Green or Orc Flesh if you want something a little bit brighter. At this early stage, we don't need to worry about being super tidy, so I'm going to use a large brush and evenly coat all of their armor in green. Now, it's important to not just let this paint pool on the model excessively, so if you see that happening, make sure to grab a smaller brush and wick away any of that excess paint. And while you have the excess paint on your brush, I would recommend using it to paint up their power packs. The reason we could be so messy before is because our next paint, Black Legion, is super opaque, has great coverage, and is going to cover that green paint perfectly. So using a much smaller brush, we're going to go ahead and paint all of these soon-to-be metallic details in black. This includes the gun, the Aquila on his chest, as well as both shoulder pads, and all of those flexible joints that you see in the power armor. Having given all of the black paint plenty of time to dry, we can now turn this green and black Space Marine into a true salamander using some gold. And not just any gold. We're going to be using Dragon's Gold, because I thought it was very appropriate. This we're going to carefully apply to the trim of his shoulder pads, as well as the lamp on the gun, and that glorious eagle across their chests. For the rest of his weapons, we're going to use Plate Armor Silver. We're going to apply this not only to his plasma gun, but as well as the grenades on his belt, which I do recommend you check because sometimes they're a little bit varied on these Marines, and I swear, I always happen to go back through looking at them when I think I'm done, and then I find that there's always one Marine that I've missed the grenades on. So always go back and double check. And because we were painting these metallics over black, don't worry about it taking 2 passes or possibly even 3 coats to get an even coverage. This is perfectly normal. Having now let the metallics dry, we're going to go ahead and pull out Blood Angel's Red to give the nozzle of his gun a Mars Red tip. Maybe I'm just a little bit old school, but I really like my guns coming from Mars. Both the nozzle and those ammo balls underneath the gun look great with a single coating of red, but you can kind of play around with whatever color you want, so really, truly experiment. I also want to take this opportunity, however, to show off how cool contrast paint looks over metallics. I highly encourage you to play around with this because I just think it looks so cool. At this point, it's time to take out the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement and we'll go ahead and attach their power packs. Hey guys, I'm just jumping into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content that you find here. And if you're into the spicier side of the hobby, then I invite you to join my VIP page. New subscribers get 50% off their first month's subscription. I hope to see you there. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video. The backpack's glue has fully dried and now he is tabletop ready, but I want to push him a little bit further. The first thing that we're going to do is turn to everybody's favorite wash, Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this liberally to the entire model, really letting it settle into the recesses of the gun and enhancing those shadows that we already have. Once the wash is dry, I want to go ahead and switch over to working a little bit on the base because I want to give some time for that Martian iron earth that I want to use on it to dry thoroughly. While that paint is drying, I'm going to be pulling out an opaque white paint. And we're going to be repriming a few select areas, specifically the plasma coils on the gun, as well as the leather straps and belts, because we're going to be painting these up in some other detailed colors. For those plasma coils, I've chosen Frost Heart, a beautiful blue tone that I think is going to absolutely capture that plasma blue vibe that I really want to go for. Next, we're going to pull out old reliable snakebite leather for, of course, all those leather details on the Marines. For their eyes, I didn't want them to have a super Christmassy vibe, so instead of using red, I'm actually going to go with a bright yellow, and I think this looks beautiful. I really love the fiery effect it gives me. And as always, it is completely nerve-wracking coloring 10 of their eyes, but it's totally worth it at the end, and they look brilliant. Now the Marines are done, and we can focus on the base. Now that the bases have nearly dried, I'm going to pull out a variety of autumn colored tufts from Gamer's Grass. I absolutely love this brand, and I think these tufts are going to look great on my base. I really am satisfied with how the autumn colors are appearing on the base, but I want something else to catch your eye. So I'm going to pull out some white flower tufts and apply one of those to each of their bases to really give me that pop. Finally, the last thing that we need to do is rim the base with an opaque black paint, and we can take a look at the completed models. Dun 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 dun! Here they are, my beautiful Salamander squad of Hellblasters. I absolutely love how they turned out. I'm also a sucker for Space Marine chapters that have green armor. Like, it's kind of why I painted Death Guard, it's why I've always loved the Dark Angels, and it's kind of why I actually secretly just want to have an entire legion of Salamanders, because I think they're glorious.
I just had a realization. This is a live realization, middle of filming, not scripted, folks.
What?
I am going to hand you why you have that love of the armor, okay? I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
All right, this is going to be on green screen, so it's probably going to look funny.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Oh my god, you're right! Holy shit, I hadn't even thought of that. So yes, I have an affinity for green armor. I've always loved green armor, and painting these salamanders was an absolute blast. I hope that you all have enjoyed going along on this ride with me, learning how to paint salamanders, and being able to apply these same techniques to potentially any other green Space Marine chapter. I know that I'm definitely going to be painting more green boys in my future. It is for sure guaranteed. You've heard it here. But before I head out, I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out, not only to my Patreon members, but also my YouTube members. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela. Chaos Cultist has been here with us as well, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Have a lovely hobby night. Have a lovely hobby night.
You don't even know what company you
I don't even know what company I work for anymore. Ah!